What is going on, fellas? Let's go ahead and dive into this. This is something that has been requested from a lot of people in the Discord and also on YouTube. And basically, what we're going to be talking about here in this video is going to be what I look for when I am creating an offensive scheme. Now, when I'm creating an offensive scheme, in general, I look for a couple different things. I look for a formation that has unique routes, and then I also look for a tell. I need to be able to tell whether or not my opponent is in man or zone with an easy little motion or flip of the play or something along those lines, to where if I am ever confused by my opponent's defense, I need to be able to at least figure out what type of base coverage shell they are in. And we're going to go ahead and start this off. I'm going to be doing this out of a completely new playbook, one that, to my knowledge, nobody competitively runs, and that is going to be the Miami Dolphins offensive playbook. And I chose this playbook because going through the different formations, I was looking for unique routes. As I mentioned, that's the very first step of what I like to do when I am creating these schemes. I need to have something that's unique. If it's not unique, there's no point in me running anything else besides what the meta is. So as long as I can find a couple unique wrinkles, I can build a scheme with either off meta concepts or meta concepts around it to give me an advantage over my opponents. So the first thing that popped up in my head was I was looking at the tight slots formation. Having a compressed set like tight gives you the ability to obviously, create some rubs, create some really good man-beating routes, and also flood zones very easily. That's why the main offenses this year are tight offset tight end, gun tight. You have Iroh's running tight doubles. I mean, basically everybody is running some form of tight. The one thing that I haven't seen anybody run is tight slots, and I don't know why that is, honestly, because it does have some really good plays. And you'll see that as we build out this scheme. And the plays that immediately caught my eye are PA flood shot. You're looking at that far left route over there, and that little angled corner route. That's the same corner route that is in the gun tight formation, just on the other side. So really good route right there. I already know that that's a good route. You have that deeper crossing route, which is like a speed in. Once again, that's a really good route. Going through just the other plays, just based off looking at them, corners and go will be a play that we use, because you have the two stop and goes. You have the two little angle routes that we have, one by a receiver, one by a tight end. You look just through this, the wide receiver sticking out play could be unique. It's a little bit different, that zig route on the left. Mesh switch is pretty unique in the sense that you can look at the tight end on the streak. That's like an old school fade route. That's a really good route in this game. It's really good every year, but you never really see anybody use that play. So just based off looking at play art, we can see that we have enough to at least dive into this formation, right? Obviously it's tight, so it's a compressed set, but then we also have unique routes. So once I kind of figure out that aspect, if I see there's routes and things that intrigue me, what I'll then do is I'll hop into it, and I want to find a man or zone tell. So right off the bat, I'm going to come out in man coverage, whether it be cover two man or cover one. It doesn't really matter. I need to figure out if they are in man. I need to figure out if they are in a man blitz. And then I need to figure out if they are in zone. Generally, the zones don't give you a huge tell. And you'll see what I'm talking about, because I won't be able to tell whether it is cover 4, cover 3, cover 2. But I will be able to tell if it's man or zone. And to me, that's key, because you can set up route combos for zone, and then you can also set up them for man. So right off the bat, we're going to come out 2 man under. Now, you can do this at any play, so I'm just going to go ahead. You can see right off the bat, if they're in man coverage, we know that the running back is manned up by the linebacker. So one thing I always like to do when I'm looking at these formations, first thing I'll try to do is flip, right? So I flip my play, nobody moves. So I can't get a tell that way. So the only way to get a tell after that is to motion out somebody. So you can see both of these slot players, you see Marvin Harrison and George Kittle right here, I can't motion out. So with me not being able to motion those players out, once again, I'm not going to be able to get a tell. So the next step is to motion a running back, right? So generally you can motion a running back either out wide, like you see here, or they can go to the slot, right? So they can line up basically where the tight end is or where the slot receiver Marvin Harrison is. This formation is the better of the two because he actually goes and lines up out wide. So you can see when we do this, just pay attention to this player right here, right? So this is the guy you're looking at. If we keep this running back, if we motion this running back out, you see how he goes out there and he follows? The other thing that I like to note is even if they press, right? So if they press, it doesn't matter. You see that that player does not press. So we're going to go ahead. We are going to motion him back. Now we know that that's going to be the tell if it's two-man under. So what about if they're in DB Sting, right? So DB Sting, a lot of people will come up, they'll man up the running back like this. Generally, they'll lurk right here. This is spinner, DB Sting. It's essentially the same concept, right? So what will happen if you motion the running back out there? What happens? So right off the bat, we can see that that linebacker doesn't move out, which is good, but the safety moves down, right? So now we're looking at this player right here, right? So with us basically having him in the backfield, if we motion him out and that safety comes down, right? So if this safety right here bites down or looks like he's coming down like that, we basically know, all right, so now they're blitzing. They're in a cover zero type of look to get him to, come down like that. So you may be thinking, well, what if they're in zone, right? So if they are in zone coverage, what is it going to look like? So we'll just come out cover 4 drop, right? So zone coverage non-base aligned, we'll go ahead and do the same motion right here. You see that the linebacker doesn't move out, the safety doesn't come down, but the zones shift outward a little bit. So once again, just kind of show you how this looks. You see how the outside corner and the slot receiver simply shifted over. Once again, we'll do it right there. You see how Harrison Smith and Harold Carmichael, they shifted to the right. That tells me it's zone coverage. So right off the bat, I know that they are in, whether they're in man, a cover zero, or they are in a zone, right? So that is key when building out a scheme. I have to be able to see that. So the next thing that I look for, once I can tell if they are in man or zone like that, I will then go ahead and see what happens if the opponent goes ahead and mans up their running back, right? And then say they're running these cover zero blitzes. And this is key because a lot of people will do this out of DB Sting, or excuse me, Spinner. They'll do it out of Overstorm Brave, things along those lines, right? So when I motion him out and that safety comes down, we know it's cover zero. But just looking at the alignment, even though we had the running back manned up, when we show our play art, you see how they switch? So now the guy that we had manned up on the running back is also, essentially double teaming him because the safety who was manned up on the tight end goes and guards the running back as well. So we can use this to our advantage. And if they try to set this up, we motion him out real quick. Boom, we have essentially a one-play score with a streak, right? Because now we have nobody guarding Kittle right up the seams. So just to kind of walk you through this, I mean, you guys don't need a huge visual of me throwing a streak with nobody guarded, but I just want to explain to you how it works. So that right there tells me that, okay, so we can screw with our adjustments with a simple motion. We can tell whether it's man or zone coverage. We can tell if we're getting blitzed out of man. So now once we have all of those tells, I then shift my focus into beating specific coverage concepts and coverage shells. The very first one I look for is going to be two-man under. And when I use two-man under, for me, it's very easy to basically get a read on two-man under because most people, when they run two-man under, they're simply shading their coverage shell down, and then they're just, lurking on a linebacker or a safety. They're lurking on somebody random, and they're hoping that the DBs make a play for them. I abuse this concept. A lot of people abuse this concept as well. So for me, when they do this concept, I need to see if I have a play that dominates this coverage shell. And mesh switch, I believe is what it's called. This play is going to do a very good job of this. It's a mesh switch, right? So they're going to come out in two-man under. They're going to press, shade, underneath. That's going to give them that two-man under shell. It's going to get that extra press. And generally, it's going to do a good job at stopping a lot of these meta routes. So we're going to use this same motion by motioning this running back out. And you'll see that, once again, that linebacker that was lined up on him out of the middle of the field, he goes and follows. He also does not press. That's key, because with him not being able to press, him being off coverage like this wheel route that we're putting this running back on is going to just absolutely torch him as he cuts up the field, right? So you'll see right here, boom, just throw a high ball, rack it, easy completion, and that right there will force our opponent to over adjust, right? So once again, say they are in two-man under, right? So we are in two-man under, everybody's covered, right? We're going to go ahead, shade underneath. We're going to go ahead and see how these other routes look. So we already have this route that I threw earlier, right? So the simple high ball to the wheel route. If I go back to the instant replay, I want to go ahead and show you how these other routes look, right? Because essentially we have this wheel route, we have a old school fade, we have two drag routes, and we have a corner route. So just based off of that, you should see the way this game plays. Underneath coverage doesn't work because we create a rub right here. He gets open on the drag. This other crosser gets open as well. And then this streak route, because we are creating this rub route, we will be able to freeform this to the inside because we're putting the strong safety right here, Rodney Harrison, in a predicament to where he has to guard either the wheel or this inverted streak. So basically, with you looking at this, you can see we threw the wheel here. We'll go ahead and I'll show you a example. We'll do it again, and we'll show you this free form to the inside on the route to kill, right? So here we are, shade underneath. Basically, you'll see that you're putting this player into a predicament. You're going to free form, get a little rack catch. Hopefully you can outrun the safety, but that safety right there even has the deep out zone KO. But because we're compressed, we're throwing this to the middle of the field inside those hash marks, or excuse me, inside the numbers. We are not triggering the deep out part. They would have to have deep in to be able to knock that out, which nobody, to my knowledge, actually runs. So yeah, you see we've got the wheel route right here that's going to beat man. You've got the rub route on this streak that we are able to freeform to the inside, as you see right there for an easy dot. And then also just scrolling back through, you're looking here, we've got the underneath route. We've got a corner route that gets open against the shaded down. And this route, it may be covered. That may be the only route on the field that's covered right there, but it won't be covered all the time. So with one simple motion, we are absolutely destroying two-man under. We are getting a tell on if they are in man or zone, and then basically we're able to tell if they are blitzing us or not blitzing us. So if they're in man, non-blitz, we can tell what it is, and we can beat it if they shade down. So what happens if they are in like a two-man under or a cover one and they're not shaded down, they're shaded up? Right? So that's the next thing you got to look for is what adjustment can they do to take away that main setup. So we're going to go ahead, shade it up or shade it over the top, will stop this wheel route from getting open. It should stop the streak from getting open. But what should happen is you have the two crossing routes and you have the corner route that should be open. So they won't be able to key in on any specific route. We'll still have three routes that we can hit right here. Just kind of show you this. See, you got one right there. And we'll just go to the instant replay to save ourselves a little bit of time and just show you how the other routes actually develop against this. So with shaded over the top, they take away this wheel. That wheel route does not get open, right? Now the streak route actually does get open because of the rub. So you see it creates a little rub, so we could still freeform this streak to the inside over here. You got the drag underneath that we threw, you got the drag going back to the other side, and then you have this corner route that we have over here to the left. So on this play, we have four routes that get open against a two-man under shaded over the top. That's going to be basically the same type of look that you're going to get if you're in a cover one, cover two. It's going to be that over-the-top coverage or a press. It doesn't really matter what coverage shall they call. Two-man under by default shades down. Cover one by default does not shade at all. So let's go ahead and show you how this looks against a cover one, because if we show you that, we've essentially covered every type of man coverage that our opponent can look at for. and we'll go ahead and just keep it moving from there. And then in the next video, we'll go ahead and show you a couple other unique things out of this formation. We'll just slowly build this scheme so you can see that I think it's going to come together to be the best offense in the entire game. I really do believe that. So here you see we've got drag route open. We've got the corner route I saw open as well. Let's go to the instant replay against a cover one and just kind of see what else is there, right? So against a cover one, first off, you see that, once again, we can tell they are not blitzing us. They're not in a cover zero because that guy is lined up off the ball, or off the receiver, I should say. The wheel route does not get open. But if you look underneath, you've got the drag coming open. On this backside, you've got the drag, and you've also got the corner route getting open. So against a cover one, we are having 3 routes open. And we know that generally that streak will sometimes get open as well. But in a cover one shell, they've obviously got that free safety shooting to the inside middle of the field to take that away. So 3 routes open, they can't use or guard everything against cover one. That's going to take advantage of the man coverage aspect. So with all that being said, hopefully you guys enjoy this type of video. Hopefully this is educational for you. You guys want to see more of this. If you do, you want to see me build out this entire scheme for you from basically start to finish, we will do that here on YouTube if you guys want. Definitely like the video, drop the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.